Yeah, yeah.
Microphone check, 1, 2, 1,
But he
2.
loved it. 5:30, so we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Cassidy, will you do roll call, please?
Mandy Folks. Here. Julie Oles.
Here.
Shelby Poole.
Here.
Ryan Sheep.
Here.
Natalie Shelberg. Julian Squirtle. Here. Rich Washington.
Here.
And Julie, will you read the mission and vision?
The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs and strategies grounded in solid research, combined with the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis of a rigorous overall educational program that builds strong skills in math, reading, literature, writing, music, science, and technology. The vision of WLA is to be a school where students and graduates become exceptional leaders and are prepared to take on the academic and leadership challenges they will face in high school and beyond.
Okay, approval of meeting agendas. We have our agenda in front of us, and I'd like to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
And then next is the approval of the October 3rd meeting minutes. I noticed our board packet had both September and October in it. I was gonna look real quick, sorry, just give me a second to see. Did we approve, does anyone remember if we approved September's, our special meeting? Or did we go straight into?
We did not.
We did not, okay. So I'm gonna make a motion then to approve the September 22nd board minutes and the October 3rd board minutes, both of which were included in our board packet.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we will have a conflict of interest tonight. All right. Are there any public comments, Cassidy?
No.
Nope. Okay, no public comments. So we will move into our board and administrator reports. So starting with the board report, just a reminder that we did complete our strategic plan in March. And so every month we kind of touch on our goals and our progress. Usually Dr. Mortensen addresses some of the things with what's going on in-house as well as our committee reports. So I just want to take a minute and refresh our memory, highlight some key points for where we're at thus far in the year. So our first goal is to exercise fiscal responsibility with sustainable growth while maintaining quality facilities, ensuring competitive staff pay, and appropriating necessary instructional and operational supplies. So we will find out in our financial report that our current budget is on target for our ADM. Finance Committee met and Dr. Mortensen meets with Bergen KDB bi-weekly to review all of our finances to make sure we are staying on track. Our current median is at 693, which is up for the 5th consecutive year. We are up 58 students from last year. So we are on track for sustainable growth while maintaining our facilities, ensuring competitive staff pay, and appropriating necessary instructional and operational supplies. Our second goal is to provide a safe and healthy learning environment that celebrates our diversity and builds community. So our new facility is beautiful and has allowed us to add back in some of the traditions of WLA, as well as cultivating new partnerships within the community and launching new activities that will help build our school community. So we are making progress on that goal. And then our third goal is to establish WLA as a respected destination school in the area, known for high academic achievement and ranked nationally as a core knowledge school of distinction. So the staff members did a data dig and they're utilizing that data to inform their instructional practices. Shows in the significant increases that we had with our scores this last spring, as well as our math and iReady scores from this fall already. So just want to take time to make sure we thank all of our staff members for all of their hard work focusing on these strategic goals. That's all I have for the board report.
Would you like the director report?
I suppose.
Okay. It's a bit short, which I know that you appreciate. Okay. As Shelby already said, our ADM is 693 as of I think about a week ago. WLA was out on October 6th. They conducted our annual site visit. That's our authorizer group. And she, Stephanie Olson, who's the head representative for that, found us to be on track and without any issues. So it was a long, 8-hour type of meeting, very much like an audit, but it was good to get good feedback on that. And then something I don't know that we need to discuss tonight, but I would like board members to start thinking about if we want to, if we merge with MSA or not. I would also like us to be thinking about if we want to develop a pre-K program or a grade 9 program for next year. So I'll start thinking about that in November. I'm going to have some presentations, and this is like what a pre-K program would look like here. This is the planning that's been done. This is kind of what it would take, as well as launching in 9th grade. So that as this merger, exploring merger is happening over here, we're also getting ready to decide our next step with or without merger. So start thinking about that. Okay? Email me if there's any specific information you want, the budget, the programming, and so forth. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're on the next page. We're organizing a dinner party for our parents of English learning students. It'll be the first time that we've really done that. I'm excited about that, so that we will welcome some of these families in and really get to face-to-face talk with them about the programming that we're providing for their students and taking some advice from them. City of Woodbury, I'm also very excited about that. They started volleyball, Mr. Broderick, tomorrow night, and they seem to be pretty excited about it as well. They're always smiling when they come in here, and we got all the big volleyball nets that hook into the floor, and it's fun. We had a 4-H club in here not long ago, and nice to see the facility getting used. Survey results have been processed, and they're going out in our parent newsletter. They'll go out Friday morning. I think that it was about a 25% response rate for the surveys. I forgot all of the exact things are in the memo that's coming out Friday. But overall, I think that people had the same questions, whether they were supportive of the merger or opposed or just not knowing. I think a lot of people were just, I don't know where I'm at until we kind of have these questions answered. And it was mainly, what's the financial position of both school? How do both match or monitor their academics? How do we merge the two school cultures? And then the main thing was, it seems so fast. That was clearly a thread through all of the stakeholder surveys. So we'll get to those also at the November meeting. Okay, and then trick or trunk.
What?
Trick or treat. Close.
Every time. It happens tomorrow night here at school. So that will be terrific. And now, drum roll for Mr. Andy Sharp. Thank you. And he is going to talk to us and conclude the director's report with talking about the Washington, D.C. trip. So. And welcome, Autumn. Thank you for being here.
This is Miss Handel that they asked if you knew, so there you go.
No, I didn't know that.
All right, before I start on my formal stuff, I did pass out 2 example. One of them in front of you is the letter. Obviously, it's going to be modified for us as an organization, and then an example itinerary is also in front of you. This is what I did last year. I don't know if Shelby was on the board yet or not, but this is not necessarily the itinerary that we may follow. Since we're still in the preliminary of the planning and where we're going, that is still kind of a working document. And so, yeah.
There you go.
Okay. And so the process in which that's done is myself, mainly because Ms. Handel and Ms. Mason are teaching, is I go into the 7th and 8th grade classrooms to present about the trip, kind of tell them about where we might be going and the price, and that always shocks them, but I kind of put them into reality. That's usually how much a trip costs for adults. And we kind of get the trip going. We get people signed up. We have a parent meeting after I present to the students more of the information. Some questions can be answered there. And then we have a pre-trip meeting in the spring, and those are only with the families that have signed up to go. And then while we're on the trip, Shelby, last year, I was in contact with Kathy and Mandy the entire trip, so just kind of FYI, that would probably be.
I just want to let the new board members know that any overnight trip has to be approved by the board, so the Wolf Ridge as well as the DC trip. So they'll be asking for that, and we did not add that to the agenda, but if we could, for an action item, they really need approval for the DC trip this month, because we need to start getting kids money down payments.
And what we might do too is, I might have to come in and present again, or just ask for permission in the spring, because that's typically when you start talking about the trip for the next following year. So we can cross that road later. Hey Cassie, would you mind just like, I think this was supposed to be on a timer, but I don't think it's working, so. All right, so formal speech, which I don't really necessarily like. Good evening, Board of Directors. My name is Andy Sharp, but the WLA students call me Mr. Sharp. And I've been a part of the WLA family for 4 years. Last year, I had the honor with two of my colleagues, Ms. Mason, who is formerly Ms. May, and Ms. Handel, to take the first ever WLA trip to DC in June. The three of us, along with 3 other parents and 22 students, 7th and 8th graders, embarked on a field trip that I hope would change the lives of students, parents, and WLA teachers. As we began our trip, I myself had high expectations, both academically and behaviorally, from our students and our staff. Keep in mind, I'm a firm believer in things that happen in 3 and 4, so when I'm telling my story, kind of think about that. As we landed in DC, our first hiccup was that our bus didn't have any air conditioning. And so if you've ever been to Washington in June, it's about 90 degrees there, and it's very hot. In addition to that, we were touring with another school from Texas, and they were also going to be on the bus. So we were comfortable, but not comfortable with no AC, if that makes sense. I then made an executive decision to deboard the bus, and for a new bus, or to get our bus to get fixed. This is where hiccup number 2 starts. I didn't expect to be sitting in the baggage claim area for 5 hours. Despite 2 major setbacks, our students were amazing. I never felt more proud to be a part of our school where students behave so nicely and mature, even though I was trying to keep my cool and stay out of the red zone with the whole situation. After dinner, I walked through the bedtime routines with Ms. Mason and Ms. Handel, which is to go over what students need to know for the next day and what they will be doing. At this time, many students had thanked us, and also thanked us, myself and Ms. Handel and Ms. May, for the fact that we all made it to the hotel safe. A reminder, a lot of our students who went had never been on a trip away from a family member, so that was a big deal for them. The next day, we had a modified itinerary due to the missed day. We were off to DC with the modified itinerary. Little did I know that with all the titles that I hold and all the hats that I wear, I would also be a DC tour guide during this time. Although this was enjoyable for me, it definitely made it tough to connect with students when we were visiting the sites. Long story short, we got a new tour guide the next day. After 2 successful days of the trip, it was finally time to go back to Minnesota. I sent the group ahead because I had to check my bag and for them to all eat because we were in a time crunch. Needless to say, hiccup number 4 was that our plane was going to be delayed, and we had a connecting flight in Michigan. And I told the kids I don't want to experience Home Alone in real life. So, yeah, you probably know what that conversation was like. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm telling you all of the negative events that happened during the trip while attempting to ask for permission to go on another trip. Well, the answer is simple. It's in our mission. Woodbury Leadership Academy is a school where students and graduates become exceptional leaders and are prepared to take academic and leadership challenges as they face the transition into high school. If I should simply show you these pictures of all the students, you can go through a couple more too. You would never have known that any of these negative events happened because they had such a good time. During our trip, we faced many challenges, and a lot of them were out of our control. As a chaperone, I was able to observe and witness our WLA students' resiliency during the challenging times. This is and will always be the main reason I advocate for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity such as a DC trip. Therefore, I'm asking for permission and your support in granting the current 7th and 8th grade students to go on another trip in June 2023. Thank you.
Nice job. Autumn, would you like to add anything? How did you feel? Were you in the red zone when all of these things happened, or what were you thinking?
Honestly, I was really impressed with them because we were not even stuck in the fun part of the airport with like the food. We were just in baggage claim where there's nothing to do for 5 hours, and like they didn't cause any problems. They were just really respectful. And once we got through that part, I think we had a really good time. And I think it's just a good experience for them because, you know, a lot of these kids haven't gotten to travel much before, and, you know, they get to go places like the Holocaust Museum, and we went to a new one, the African American History Museum, and it just gives them a chance to connect with different cultures, different experiences in ways that I don't think they would just from like a classroom necessarily. So I think it's really a valuable experience for them.
Would you go again?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then isn't there like, do any of the kids that are going to hopefully be going this next year, will any of them be repeats? Or is there a different itinerary if they go a second year or?
Some of the students actually have asked if they can go again, and I'm like, I mean, if your parents want to pay for it, that's fine. A part of the example itinerary that you had, the one day that we missed out was the Jamestown and all of that. So we did the itinerary that we had last year. We added other things in DC because we were in DC an extra day. So to answer your question, they can repeat again if they'd like. We're just wanting to get the most participation out of WLA because it was fine sharing a bus with another school. They were okay, but it would really be cool if we could fill a bus. I'm more used to bringing 100 students rather than just 20. So it'd be really cool if we got, you know, the entire grade to go, but.
Yeah.
What's the minimum that you would take?
The minimum is, I'm trying to think, I think it's like 15 is the minimum. And that would be typically, it would be I would go and then probably one other person from WLA would go.
Is it just 7th and 8th graders that it's open to then?
Yep.
Very cool.
What was your guys' involvement with the other school from Texas? Did they have students hang out with them? Were you guys consistently with them, or how did that kind of?
So we were just with them with our tour, because we only got one tour guide that was provided.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it is a little bit, you know, hard to tour that many people, but they were with us. They were actually 8th grade going into 9th grade, I believe, so they were older than our kids.
They were really quiet.
They were very quiet.
It was
Yeah,
weird.
they're actually from the same school district as the Uvalde Elementary.
Sure.
So they're like really southern Texas. But in terms of like interactions, there wasn't much. There was some, I think, more towards the end of the trip because they were getting a little bit more comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
And then as far as like the hotel, I kind of just said like no, nothing. Go to your room, go to bed, kind of thing at the end of it, because I was just too wiped out, and so they kind of just hung out in their rooms besides that. But that was a pretty limited interaction.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add approval of the trip. Would that be the right way to do it?
I don't even need to amend the agenda at this point.
Okay.
It's in the, I'll just make a motion to, for the board's approval for the upcoming 7th and 8th graders to attend a Washington DC trip this coming June.
I'll second.
Right, there has been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any, those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Have fun in DC. Alright. Is Bergen
I see
on?
Brenda, but I don't, I mean, that's her background, but I don't see her.
Hey Brenda, are you there?
Oh, she's
There
there.
she is.
She appeared out of nowhere.
All right, we are ready for you.
Let's see if your speaker's working today, Cassidy. Because I can't hear her, but. Brenda, you're not muted, are you?
Last time. Okay, go ahead.
You just have to give me sharing rights.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Next to that green, oh, you good way. That's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I am going to be presenting the September 30th financial statements. And I'm going to go down to page 3, where we will discuss the executive summary and talk about the key indicators. So just a reminder that we started the original adopted budget with an ADM of 725. We have adjusted our budget to a working budget of 680. But our actual is 693, as you know, was mentioned earlier in the meeting. And so, as we monitor the enrollment this fall, we could remain increases of working medium out from the 680 to 6, somewhere in between there, if we feel that enrollment will be consistent. But for now, to be conservative, we will keep it at the 680. So the original adopted budget was projecting a surplus of $255,000, and we are going to be spending a little bit of money from the community service fund, about $7,500. But our working budget is currently projecting a surplus of $270,000, just shy of $273,000. So we're able to balance the budget with the income adjustment. So that was something that we worked on and something that we're able to do. Our projected use of cash on hand 105 days, and that's one of our regular companies is at 45 days. So really healthy cash wise. Financial key points. We are 25% of the year complete, so it's the first quarter. Our cash balance is at $2,162,000, slightly down from last month of $2,168,000, but still consistent. Our state days receivable for 21-22 is remaining $128,000, and that receivable majority of that will be received at the end of October. That would be the third of the 3 large payments that we received from that one back. And so our cash balance will go up slightly. The current stated receivable will continue to grow for the current fiscal year, represent that 10% going back from the state. Our revenues received at the end of September was about 25.1% of the working budget, and our expenditures are about 18.1%. So, now in line with a straight line of 25% of the current year, so within our budget. Other items to mention, recent application that was approved in October or in August. Our audit field work was completed in September, and as of last week, we received a draft of the audit. So we're currently reviewing that, and so far everything looks really well. The end of the school year really well last year, very well of our budget. Our our working budget adjustments are through September. And based on the amount that we know back in September, and we will continue to monitor that and the working budget changes and present those to the board when we're ready. But we're tracking on target. The next page of the financial packet is the color dashboard. The first section covers the budgets, the approved budget, the working budget, and year-to-date. So that just identifies where we're at year-to-date. In net income, year-to-date is just short of $597,000. So our revenues are exceeding expenditures currently. The next area of the charts just describes in this pie chart, the revenues budget on the left and the expenditures budget on the right. The next chart is a fund balance history, and you can see that we have continued to raise our fund balance every year for the past 5 years. So we are fund balance growth. The next pages are a little bare right now because we're just starting the school year. You can see where we are at year-to-date. The bar chart here is year-to-date revenues and expenditures right on track. Enrollment is just a couple of dots. You can see that we're doing better than the budget, and we continue to monitor that. And then the last chart is cash flow projection. You can see that as the state holds back, the state aid hold back, we'll do a little dip here around January and February, and then we rise back in June. We tend to collect more federal funding at that time. As we spend the federal funds, we end up actually claiming those funds. It's always a little delay there, but that actually increases the cash flow. On to the next page is a balance sheet, and you can see the two base numbers on this balance sheet is the cash flow, $2,162,000, and our current state aid holdback is at $168,000. That will continue to increase. One thing to mention, that we do have $170 from the building company, and that will be reimbursed to you in the next month. So that's also going to increase our cash flow. Once we get reimbursed, that will just really increase that. So we're currently working on that. That will come here and the assets and the other liabilities and fund balance is $596. Going on to the profit and loss statement. You can see at the top we have 3 months in, and I'll just go to the bottom here as a summary of all funds. So we have earned year-to-date revenue is $1,958,000, and that is 25% of the working budget. And you can see that in the right column of this income statement are the budget changes that we have made. So we have a reduction of revenue of $120,000, but we've also adjusted for expenditures of $165,000. And so you can see that we have expended $1,361,000 of the working budget, or 18.1%. So finding a rate is not the balance budget to the board, we will cover the adjustments to the budget in more detail at that time, but these are the adjustments we have made. So you can see that at the bottom, we have $596, is around, with, the working budget of $272,700 unconnected year. If we add that to the beginning fund balance of $215,000, we end the school year with a 30% fund balance of 1.26%. Debt service coverage ratio is over the bond from Canadian other governments. The next page of the financial package is our capital projection, and this just identifies what revenues we have received and expenditures that we expended in order projecting that to end up as a year. And then the last page is the summary of contracted services, and it's just this is actually a little over budget at 15%, but you can see that there are revenues that haven't been spent yet, and so sometimes those will catch up at the end of the year. And that's the end of the financial report. Does anybody have any questions?
Brenda, if you could just, as I was going through all the things, I noticed that there was like a returned payment fee and an overdraft fee that the bank had charged, and that like made my blood pressure go through the roof. So I had reached out to get clarification on that. Would you just clarify that for everyone, just so that if anyone else had gone through it and was alarmed by that, they can also hear what had happened?
Oh, sure. That was actually a payment that we had gotten an email from the bank, and for some reason, we had nothing to do with the bank balance or anything like that. I think that the security measures of the implementation that they made that payment, it was an automatic credit card payment, and the bank had an error and they kicked that payment back. And they emailed us right away about it and said that it was their error, and they apologized for it, and that if there was any fees related to that, that they would cover the fee. And so there was a fee, that's the fee that ended up on the bank card, and so we paid the fee, but we're going to get reimbursed from the bank for that.
Perfect, thank you.
So it was nothing to do with the I know, it looks bad.
I know, I was like, oh my goodness.
It was nice of the bank to email us and let us know right away, because, it was a fee that we had to pay, but we'll get reimbursed for that.
Thank you.
But thanks for asking. It shows that you're looking at the report.
I am. All right, so any other questions for Brenda? No?
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome, thank you.
Alright, so we'll move on to Jolene with our Finance Committee report.
Thank you. The Finance Committee had their regularly scheduled meeting Wednesday, October 12th at 4:30. It was a virtual meeting. During this meeting, Brenda presented the financial statements for September, as she just did for us as well. And we also talked about the implications for merging with MSA. Kathy kind of led that discussion, and we were talking more about that. And it was a quick meeting. We finished at 5:20. Are there any questions in regards to the Finance Committee meeting?
I would just clarify that if and as this, exploring this merger goes forward, we would have burden really in a subcommittee of finance, really looking at the finances for our school as well as their school, because the merger would have to work financially to the benefit of both schools, not just one.
Right.
So that's kind of what that discussion was about. Do you want to add anything?
No, I think we were just talking about, we were getting some input from some of the committee members if this does go forward and we do start doing some more due diligence would that committee be willing to step in and really dig into their MSA's financials? We're used to digging into ours each month, but and so when they all were willing and happy to do that, and so I don't know when the time, we also just were discussing, when is the time to start looking into that? Should we do that sooner rather than later? But we kind of feel like we're looking to you and MSA's administration to kind of tell us when it's time to start doing more due diligence.
Yeah. So right now, they're focusing on their physical expansion, bonding, construction costs, or they kind of need to focus on this now before they can look at this merger idea again, which might be till January or later, but we don't want to get too deep in the process before we really look hard. All those categories are pretty big. Finances, it's not something you look at for an hour or one or two meetings. So due diligence is going to require a lot. So we'll see when it feels like we're going to get going that way, so that we know if it's a possibility or not. That would be one of the first big projects.
And Birgit is our finance manager too, so that'll be helpful as we do go through that process. It's not Brenda, but it's still within their organization, so just having access to that information will be helpful.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve the September financials and October Finance Committee meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Right, there's been a motion and a second to approve the September financials and October Finance Committee minutes. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Right, in the absence of Natalie tonight, I will go ahead and cover the Governance Committee report, as I also attended that meeting. So we met on Thursday, October 13th, 2022, virtually as well. We called to order at 4:37. As the board tasked us to do, have been going over the WLA recommendations. So we discussed the recommendation to create a policy or amend the bylaws for the process of board removal. So that is ready for your second reading. We did include that in here. The biggest difference is that you'll notice the appendices was added for the process for addressing violations. So I think we as a committee agreed that there are other ways to go about removing board members, and just to set that into very clear options. So it doesn't mean that it has to be in this order. It just simply says that these are options. It may be a choice that the board chooses to take. So you'll see that there are A through G options available for board removal moving forward, whereas our current bylaws just simply state that a board member may be removed at any time. So this kind of gives us some more options to explore as a board if we do have conflict in the future. That would allow us to handle things a little differently. So we have put that in for approval for second reading. We discussed the use of political symbols in the classroom. We recommend not creating a policy, but rather adding information to the staff handbook as to what is or isn't allowed. And we would leave that kind of up to the administrative team to decide what they feel is best. We discussed policy 413 and reviewed it, harassment and violence. Kathy will finish that and share it out with us for the next meeting, and we'll bring any changes to her if we saw anything that we thought needed to be changed, and we'll have that ready for the November board meeting. Equal access of facilities, Jess and Kathy are going to look into that as well, and do some digging around of what other places have. And that is all I have. Next regular board of directors meeting will be held Thursday, November 17th, here in person in this room at WLA at 5:30 p.m. with a work session to follow. I know, less than an hour, Kathy, we did it. All right. Adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting tonight.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to adjourn our meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Abstentions? Motion carries.
I would add to the group